Did you know back in the 2000s, there was a huge debate about human cloning?
We're talking about scientists creating human embryos for the purpose of exploiting them and destroying them. And there is no scientific evidence today that this is justifiable.
Did you know there's no federal ban on human cloning in the United States?
Strictly speaking, it would be legal to clone me, for example, tomorrow.
They're also making fake embryos for spare parts.
But a brave new world where children are bred for spare parts.
And human-animal hybrids for research.
Dr. Zavos also reveals he's produced animal-human hybrid.
In this series, we're going to get into the most incredible cloning conspiracy theories and scientific advancements. So in this series, I'm going to cover the recent past, the present current status of things, and how it might even get more interesting in the future.
Very, very high probability that the baby's going to be seriously abnormal. It's just completely morally unjustifiable.
Please do not send any hate or honestly comments of any kind to anyone mentioned in this video on behalf of me or yourself. The purpose of this video is to give my commentary and opinion on matters of public concern. Thank you. We have to talk about the celebrities cloning their pets. It's happening just right out here in the open. Now, the thing that put me onto this whole thing, like that it was real at all in the first place, was this Tom Brady story. Apparently, Tom Brady, the beloved quarterback from wherever or whatever, and Deflategate, you may remember, he was dating or married to Giselle, the supermodel, and then they done got divorced, and pretty much he's just fallen off ever since. I mean, the man is spiraling out of control. I feel like I might even need to make a whole video about it, but that's not the purpose of today's video. We didn't talk about the fact that he cloned his dog.
Tom Brady's revelation that he's cloned his dog is sparking a big debate. The NFL legend and sportscaster just announced that his beloved dog Lua, who died in 2023, now has a clone named Junie.
The dog is actually a clone of Brady's previous pit bull mix Lua, who died in 2023. In a few short months, Colossal gave my family a second chance with a clone of our beloved dog. Brady, an investor in the biotech company Colossal Biosciences. The company's CEO compares the process of cloning to IVF without sperm. You may remember Colossal is the company behind de-extinction efforts focused on bringing back the woolly mammoth, dodo bird, and Tasmanian tiger. Earlier this year, the company announced it genetically engineered a trio of wolves resembling the long-extinct dire wolf, made famous in Game of Thrones.
Okay, and he's not the only celebrity cloning his dog. This is a celebrity dog cloning pandemic, okay? Barbara Streisand had her beloved dog Samantha cloned, not once, but twice. This article says Barbara Streisand has revealed that her two puppies, Miss Violet and Miss Scarlet, are actually clones. This is a news article
that you just lost. Barbara Streisand revealed to Variety that two of her dogs are clones.
The world has clearly moved on from Dolly the sheep, as more than memories of Streisand's beloved dog Samantha live on. If y'all don't cremate me, I'm coming back in haunting. Before the Coton du Tulare, oh, that's the type of dog? Oh my Lord. Imagine having such a fancy dog you can't even say the name. Coton du Cotton, that makes sense. It looks like a fluffy little cotton. Cotton of probably Tulare is probably where it was from. Anyway, the dog, poor thing, rest in peace, died in 2017. Cells were taken. You might think, was it a reproductive cell? Was it the ovary? No, just right from inside the mouth and inside the stomach. They can make a whole clone. Bet you didn't know that. Me neither.
And the doctor has to get a special kit to just get a few cells from the inside of her cheek and her little tummy on the outside. The only other way I could get another was to clone her.
Wow.
And it was nothing. I mean, we had to put her to sleep. It was devastating.
They took cells from the dog's mouth and stomach. And you will start to notice, I'm going to play some of these clips in this video, that the dogs, they're clones. Yeah, they are made in a lab, from clone tissue or whatever.
Cloning company says they're offering this service. They take cells containing the pet's complete DNA, put it into an embryo that's carried by a surrogate dog, but it's not cheap. It costs about $50,000 per dog that you want cloned.
But they don't always even look the same as the original animal. And they most certainly do not always act the same. A lot of times, most of the time, from what it sounds like to me, they have completely different personalities, which actually does make sense.
Well, the genetic makeup would be the same. The personality would likely be a little different from the original pet.
Kind of surprising. I haven't heard of this before.
Yeah.
And that's the price tag. Wow, $50,000.
If anything at all in this whole entire wild and winding journey makes any sense at all, it's that, of course, it's not going to work. Like, of course, it's not going to be a clone. And like I said, this is kind of a pattern that I started to notice as I looked into this. And guess who else cloned? Paris Hilton, Miss Chihuahua herself. I wonder if Jeffree Star has any Pomeranian clones. I need to look that up.
No. Are you kidding me? What?
This is your grand doggy babies.
Wait, what?
This is Diamond and Baby. Diamond's clones.
Oh my God.
How cute are they?
Oh goodness.
And like I said, the dogs very rarely look exactly the same. And there's this whole side plot where there are, you know, like how they have like those dog shows, the Westminster and the this, thatster, and you know, they have different types of animals that do important things like the horse racing and stuff. Of course, they started, you know, anywhere there's money to be made, you know, they're going to push the envelope of scientific advancement, and they're cloning the show dogs and the prize dogs and the horses and the thises and the that.
DNA is put into an empty, unfertilized egg, grown in an incubator, and then moved to a surrogate animal of the same species.
These very large and energetic 7-month-old pups are all clones. Did you want to clone these dogs for their look, for their demeanor, for their aggressiveness?
We don't tolerate aggression with our dogs. Mr. Goodbar was a famous dog in our program that had really elite genetics, amazing personality.
She says the clones are not for sale, and she'll use them as show dogs.
First of all, well, I didn't say this before, but first of all, these show dogs and these like coton to toot dogs and all this and that, I mean, these dogs are already so genetically mutated. That's why they look like that.
Its skull is too small for its brain.
Like a mutt looks like a mutt because it's all mixed up. That's why it's called a mutt, like the dog. And so when they have these like genetically modified animals, like they are genetically modified already. So I'm sure in these worlds, these people don't think cloning is really anything that is that bad, because they're like, I mean, we're already cutting the dog's ears and tails off, and you know, making them stay on their place for 8-hour live streams and zapping them if they move or whatever, for example.
America, Kaya, please just go.
I do want to say that Hassan Piker, in my opinion, is a socialist grifter.
And so it's like they probably don't think they're doing anything wrong, but like, I don't know, it looks kind of strange to me. And then these dogs have, unsurprisingly, all kinds of problems, genetic problems. Something that I did take note of in my research for this series is that a lot of this stuff is happening in Korea. Was it Japan too? China and Japan are implicated as well. Okay, but and you know what? You know where else? A place I'm not even allowed to say they got a flag that's white and blue. Okay, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that out here, but that one, they doing it over there. They were. I think they outlawed it now. Like there was like actually they outlawed it fully over there in the blue and white country, and not in this one where we live. Land of the free for real.
If you decide to duplicate yourself in America, you're in luck because the U.S. has no federal laws against cloning.
Anyway, okay. Oh yeah, and then there's this clip of Paris Hilton's mom like learning about the dogs being clones. And here's the thing that I find so weird is this brought me straight back to another Paris Hilton and her mom clip. Seemingly whenever Paris Hilton told her mom, Kathy, that she had a baby, the baby was already born. Kathy, look, we can play the clip right here, but we'll play these two clips side by side. It's like, surprise, a baby. And she, oh my God, I'm a grandmother or whatever. And it's like, why does that baby look so much like Britney Spears' kids? I don't know. But she's just kind of like, surprise. And I was like, how do you keep a baby surprise hidden from your mom? Either y'all are faking for a show or you didn't carry that baby. I don't know. I didn't do any research at all whatsoever, but I'm just saying this clip of her being like, surprise clone dogs is like so similar to me. It might even be the same couch. We got to play a side by side.
You're joking. Oh my God.
This is your grandson, Phoenix Baron Hilton Ream.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Parents, are you serious?
Yeah.
No.
There's a Chinese animal clone factory?
The Beijing Genomics Institute is essentially the world's largest cloning factory, producing over 500 cloned pigs a year.
We'll talk more about the Chinese animal clone factory later. There's cloned monkeys. Okay, so this is a primate. Okay, so you can see how we're making a step up, right? A dog is a mammal, and so is a human, but a dog is not a primate. Humans are primates.
Researchers used a method that created Dolly, the cloned sheep. That method has worked on cows and mice in the past, but monkeys proved to be more difficult. This could open the door to new methods of customizable gene experimentation.
Our closest genetic match, I think, is monkeys. A chimpanzee or some type of monkey, some type of primate, I don't know, but they've been cloning them too. So if you're like one of these like mad scientist types with more money than sense, then you might have it in your mind to take the next step. And again, y'all, you don't need a stem cell. You don't need an ovary. You don't need an ovum. No, you do not. All you need is a swab inside of the mouth.
Scientists have taken human skin cells and created human eggs.
A skin cell. They grow in things from skin cells.
Zavos adapted a standard cloning technique for his human patients. He first took an egg from the mother and stripped out the nucleus containing 99.9% of her DNA. He then took a skin cell from the father and extracted the genetic material. That was injected into the empty egg and given a jolt of electricity to form a cloned embryo.
Now, one thing that I did find to be a little bit gut-wrenching, and just other than just like the uncanny and bizarre reality of this weird Frankenstein universe that we live in, all roads leads back to Lord Cornberry dressing up like a woman and ceasing all manner of state business by pleasing himself out in the open with something I can only describe as a peculiar but detestable maggot. It's actually like the way that they put it in these news clips is they make it look like they're growing this whole embryo from, you know, I don't even want to call it conception, but like from the first moment they're mixing it together all the way through. It's like it's in some type of vial or like a tank or something. No, they're using large breed female dogs to carry the clones.
When they try and make a clone, it doesn't always work, right? They have many eggs and then they implant lots of embryos and not all of those animals live. So there are misfires. And there's also excess dogs.
And the way that they have these dogs in the video that are being surrogate dogs for, like, for example, like a Tom Brady type, a Barbara Streisand type, a Paris Hilton type, just because they wanted Tinkerbell reincarnated. This large Saint Bernard is giving birth to a Chihuahua. Okay, and it isn't a clone. And it isn't just that the large dog is giving birth to an out of species, like they're basically like an incubator.
It was an incredible, touching moment. I mean, what made it even more complete was the fact that they decided to adopt the surrogate mother. I mean, that was fantastic. It blew my mind.
It isn't only that, it's like the conditions that they're keeping these dogs in are very hospital-esque. It's like, you know, shout out to Japan and Korea and them over there because they do know how to keep the bus station clean. They know how to keep the street clean. But the thing is, that kind of permeates into everything, and it's like these poor dogs. Does PETA know about this? Someone, I'm not going to say someone tell PETA because I don't want to be intertangled and intertwined with PETA. But like seriously, that was one part of these videos that really I found to be profoundly disturbing is like they're just like using these large dogs to just give birth to celebrity dog clone things that don't even always look and usually don't act in any way like the personality. You could have just got another dog. It's bad enough they're doing all the genetic mutation that they're already doing just to get you a dog that weighs 1.5 pounds, but full grown. But like now we're doing this whole thing with the song and dance of these dogs. They're in these, and how many do they have to have? 2 or 3 or 5? I don't mean, they're literally just like surrogate incubator dogs. A video later in this series is going to explore how they've been trying to take care of that problem. But in the next episode, we're going to travel a little bit more into pop culture land and talk about how the 2000s was literally obsessed with clones and cloning, and I never really noticed until I looked in the rearview mirror. Before we get into the whole what are they doing next and what are they doing now, I need to rewind a little bit and just remind y'all and ask y'all if you remember how obsessed Like, for example, the Disney Channel and like the kids' channels and things were with cloning. Because I did not remember. I figured since we're going into the past anyway, we might as well go all the way back to 1818. And again, my God, all roads leads to, I'm going to finally one day drop my Lord Cornberry video. Put Lord Cornberry somewhere if y'all want me to finally drop that soon. I'm nervous I'm going to put all the work, it's going to be my life's work, this Lord Cornberry. But anyway, yes, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde does go right back to the Hyde family. Yep, the Cornberries. And we're going to talk about Frankenstein. Okay, so this book originally was written, is this Mary Shelley? So she originally wrote this book. It came out, it was published in 1818, and they've been obsessed with Frankenstein ever since. And like, what is Frankenstein? It is a hybrid, chopped, hacked, whacked together humanoid homunculus that is made from the most supposedly beautiful attributes of humans. But then when you put the thing all together, it was the monster. And also, very importantly, a mean, degenerate monster. It wasn't a creature of high moral standards, ethics, or even intelligence. It was something wrong with it. All right, that's the book canonically, okay? And then recently in this month or last month, they just came out with a Netflix series about Frankenstein, or a movie, was it? It might be a movie. Stop it, it's Guillermo.
Yeah.
Y'all remember him? Remember him? What was it? Oh, this. Y'all remember him? That guy who made that movie made this Frankenstein thing on Netflix. And why does it say only monsters play God? We have to put in like a zoinks. So, only monsters play God. See, they telling you. They always have to tell you what they're doing. Okay, anyway, so yeah, oh my God, what is that grotesque picture? So we're gonna fast forward like 100-something years. Then we have the Brave New World situation. And I don't know if y'all ever had to read this Brave New World. I definitely had to read it in college. I don't remember nothing about it. I completely have amnesia. They must have fractaled me. I definitely had that book with that swirl on it, but maybe I didn't read it. That doesn't seem like me. I was reading my reading assignments for the most part. Maybe I didn't read it. Maybe one of my friends had it or something, but I've seen this. Anyway, so in the Brave New World, cloning is used to mass produce people through the Bokanovsky process, where one egg is split into 96 identical embryos. It does sound like a cool, like, sci-fi basis of a show or a movie or a book, but girl, I didn't know that Aldous Huxley wrote this. Like, I had forgotten. Was he a Cornberry? A Habsburg? A Rothschild? Huxley. He was a Huxley. These cloned embryos grow into 96 identical people who are trained for a specific role, helping the world state maintain a steady supply of workers. I gotta go. I'm telling y'all, I'm haunting everybody if y'all don't cremate me instantly, like within a few days. Anyway, okay, so this one we all probably have heard about. You may be familiar with Dolly the sheep. I was about 5 years old when this happened. I was 6 years old. So like, and I'm 35 now, okay, so that's 20 years ago. 30 years ago. Anyway, okay, so there's this sheep right here. Allegedly, apparently this was a clone sheep, but the birth of Dolly the sheep was kept under wraps until the Roslin Institute published its research paper.
The few at Roslin who knew what made Dolly so special were sworn to secrecy.
We knew it was going to be a big story. We were going to get a lot of media scrutiny, and the top journals will not publish papers about things which have already been publicized.
They managed to keep Dolly under wraps from July until February. Then, just days before the news was set to be released,
somewhere or other, there was a leak, and because it was published in the Sunday paper, the thing blew.
Her birth was announced February 22nd, 022297.
A brave new world has arrived with the debut of Dolly, a 7-month-old lamb.
And the world's press descended on Roslyn to meet the now famous sheep. Her sudden appearance sparked a media frenzy and debate around the ethics of cloning, because they're like, okay, shoot, beep, it worked. If this is real and true, it worked. And if they could do it to sheep, I mean, everybody was thinking it. What's to stop them from doing it to Marilyn Manson? Or me? Or you?
What sensationalized it was that people began to say, well, could we do this with humans? And people tended to assume that this would happen.
Cloning a human being is closer than almost anyone had even imagined.
Now it seems that one day scientists could take a single cell from a more sophisticated creature, say like me, pull out my DNA, stick it in a new cell, plant the cell in a womb, and 9 months later, out would come a genetic copy of me, a clone.
People are like, hold on, that's a clone sheep? And a lot of people like denied it. They were like, there's no way. That's just a hoax. They just want more funding. I don't know, I wasn't there. Okay, I definitely remember seeing it. Like, I remember being in the grocery store and seeing like Dolly the sheep, like on the front of like, you know, the National Enquirer or the whatever, you know, those like really actually crazy tabloids were, but it was like, okay, but they really did clone the sheep apparently, Dolly. And so after the whole Dolly the sheep news broke, that was 1996, 1997, when that was going on, pop culture exploded. They were obsessed with clones instantaneously. Cloning became a huge topic in Hollywood, in movies, and especially movies for kids. For example, the first Pokemon movie.
Pokemon, the first
Why
movie.
does Rhodes end up leading back to Pokemon movie now ever since we talked about it? Isn't this the third or fourth time the Pokemon movie, the first Pokemon movie? We talked about Dream Street, we talked about Lou Pearlman. Pokemon movie album with Britney freaking Spears. There's like this very obvious Lou Pearlman shadow looming over the Pokemon movie soundtracks. It just feels that way to me. And now, yeah, I mean, well, that's what was going on. The first movie was released 1 year after the Dolly the Sheep announcement, and it's about Team Rocket developing evil clone versions of Pokemon. Okay, fine, maybe a coincidence. What about in 2000, a couple years later? Disney Channel original movie, The Other Me. Now, I had completely forgotten this existed. I did not remember this movie in the slightest, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely watched that. This is a Disney Channel original movie about a teenager, one of them Lawrence brothers, who maybe them's cloned, who accidentally clones himself as a genius and ends up using the clone to pass school. Okay. Anyway, then there was this other movie that same year, The Sixth Day. Is this Arnold Schwarzenegger? Yeah. The film is set in the near future when cloning is accepted for animals but illegal for humans. So by the time they finally make it illegal for humans, because it ain't yet, but we'll talk about more of that later.
Supreme Court upheld the laws against human cloning.
So for example, each mall contains a store named Repet. That will clone your dead pet right down to its ability to notice you. Well, they haven't gotten there yet. It must be in the future. If you missed the last video, you need to check it out.
You save your soul, man. God doesn't want you to go in there. Don't go in there, man.
And the God shouldn't have killed my dog. Atheist.
Stop the cloning. Say no to Repet.
We can clone your four-legged loved one in just a few short hours. How can we do it? It all begins with the growing of blanks. Animal drones stripped of all characteristic DNA in embryonic tanks at the Repet factory. In the final stage, using Repet's patented cerebral syncording process, all of your pet's thoughts, memories, and instincts are painlessly transplanted via the optic nerve.
We suppose that clones have no soul, but they're dangerous. Clone pets are every bit as safe as real pets. Plus, they're insured.
But if it is so safe, then why is it against the law to clone human beings?
Because the human brain is much too complicated to syncord. Now, you remember that experiment they did, right? Yes, well, that's why that didn't work.
Then there's also in the movie a black market in human cloning whereby illicit cloners can do a simple eye scan of a dead person and syncord their entire personality. What in the Minority Report, Tom Cruise Scientology, hell is this movie? I don't think I ever heard of The Sixth Day either. And that's another kind of religious, like goddish reference, because like on the 6th day he created the blah 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 blah. On the 7th day he rested. Anyway, the next year, of course, who could forget? How could we make a video without mentioning Spy Kids, the movie? Okay, Spy Kids. Remember there's like a clone army of kids, 2 siblings whose parents are in, for all intents and purposes, the CIA, OSS, which is the original name of the CIA. Like the OSS got shut down the next year the CIA opened, so it is the CIA, and their parents are spies for it. They're supposedly secret agents, and the kids have to go rescue the parents, who are spies, from a madman that is creating clones of children to take over the world. And they're like super soldier clones. They're like really strong, and they can fly, and they can do crazy stuff, and they're robotic, and they have like, you know, stamina for a long time and things like that. And the guy, he's not only making clones, exact replicas of children, he's making these weird hybrids with these creatures and humans. So he'll take like a person from DC, like a political pundit, and he will get them kidnapped and bring them to this island and then hybrid them with some weird thing and twist them. You know the Fooglies, you remember. So the kids eventually then get initiated into the Society of Spies themselves, and they do end up battling the army of degenerated clones and saving their family. And I do think that they did hide. They did hide the truth in these movies because guess what? Can't no clone compare. Sorry to tell you. Anyway, so the next year we had Star Wars Attack of the Clones, right? I mean, like, this is just clone. Dolly the sheep comes out and it's Clone City. Okay, we got Attack of the Clones, we got the Clone Wars eventually comes out, which is a Star Wars animated series, and then of course The Island. I just found out about The Island, but it's apparently a 2005 movie. I gotta watch this thing. It's Michael Bay, who did Transformers, a Michael Bay film about a government-funded facility that grows clone humans for wealthy sponsors. Why do all the clone movies have to do with like government stuff, dude? So why in this movie were they cloning things, or why did they have clones, or whatever? Like why did they need a government-funded, wealthy sponsor clone facility? Well, it was for many reasons. One of them was to be surrogates, to be surrogate mothers, incubators, kind of like those dogs we talked about in real life in the last video. Also, organ harvesting. It's like we need an extra spleen. We need an extra liver. Somebody drank too much. We got to get a liver. Let's just grow one in a clone. So they grow whole entire clone, just cut the spleen out. And this is a fiction movie, y'all. Okay, so this is a movie, but it was in 2005. I definitely think that the pop culture obsession, you know, especially starting in about 1998, all the way through 1997, all the way through really kind of today. I mean, even like in some ways, like iRobot is sort of like that. And we'll talk a little bit more about like AI clones and robot clones and things like that, and how, you know, that'll be in a later video. But I just want to point out that I think that the life imitates art, imitates life, imitates art thing definitely ends up proving to be true, because whenever you shove things out, especially to kids who, I mean, we didn't have all this Netflix and all this, that. There was 3 channels most of us were watching or allowed to watch. That was like Nickelodeon, Disney, and like maybe Cartoon Network, and maybe a few other, one Saturday morning, PBS, whatever. And so there was not a lot to choose from. The Pokemon movie was huge. Everyone saw that movie. Everyone had that album.
My favorite movie star is going to be Harrison Ford.
And so it's clone, Spy Kids. I mean, it's still like that movie had such an impact on me. So it's like, you know, little kids grow up to be scientists and they learn how to do things with skin cells. All right. So I'm just going to say, I think that the pop culture obsession with clones in the 2000s has led us to where we are today, which, okay, all that's fine and good. They were obsessed with clones. They were obsessed with human clonings, and maybe they can clone a dog, and maybe they can clone a monkey. But let's not get all ahead of ourselves. Can they even clone a human? Has it ever even been done? Is it allowed? These are questions we're going to get into.
It was 3 months ago that infertility researcher Panos Zavos predicted that his Kentucky-based human cloning team would produce a pregnancy this year with the delivery of a cloned human being in 2003. Now he's confirmed that one of the first of several couples willing to try the controversial human cloning procedure is from this country.
We are considering 200 couples. That doesn't mean that 200 couples will be cloned immediately. They will be considered as such. We will start with the first one, and we'll finish with the 200th one eventually, but it's not going to happen all in November.
So it's not starting at the same
we're
time.
going to spread them out and do as many as we can.
Allowing cloning would be taking a significant step toward a society in which human beings are grown for spare body parts and children are engineered to custom specifications.
Again, is this legal here in the United States? It's my understanding you'll do the procedure elsewhere. Is it legal in this country?
Yes, it is. The House passed the bill, but the Senate never debated it, and George W. never signed it. Therefore, it is legal in this country, but we prefer not to do it here. We have better environments and conditions to do it elsewhere.
I'm glad they say it. Look, one thing about 60 Minutes Australia, and it's been since 1999 at least, they'll say it when nobody else will. Shout out to the Australian. I love an Australian. To be honest, I feel like that's got to be my cousins. Like, to the scary world. It is scary. It is scary. I'm glad she's not mincing words. It's scary, and she's saying it here. She's saying yes, human cloning's possible, and they do, and they're making babies to order. Strictly. Oh man, and it does just remind me of like all the scary implications, because anywhere where there's money to be made, there's a criminal and a grifter just sitting right there waiting to make that money. And it's like thinking about the desperation in somebody who needs a heart or an organ transplant, like what they would be willing to do or not do. And maybe they wouldn't be willing to harm somebody, but maybe they would be willing to pay a few $100,000 for a clone to be grown and grow a liver and just get rid of that clone or whatever. Who cares where it came from, or what if it's a skin cell? Oh, it gives me like a weird shiver down my spine.
To some, this man is a Frankenstein. To others, he's God. Over the past 8 years, working in secret, He's been leading a team into medicine's most controversial terrain. His aim is to clone a human being.
For the past 8 years. And this was in 2000. So this started in 1992. When was Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs Christian Combs born? Anyway, just wondering.
By injecting the unique DNA of an individual into a woman's egg to give birth to a human replica.
Doctor, you have no trouble.
His ambition has brought him into bruising conflict with mainstream science and ethics.
This is a disgrace, Doctor. 70% of these children, by your own words, would be born mutated.
By his own words, 70% of the children would be born, quote, mutated. I rebuke.
Since this experiment began, our film crew has been recording from the inside this man's journey of triumph and disaster.
It's very difficult for us to tell what may have happened here.
You know, when I paid $60,000 or $70,000, I guess obviously you ought to tell them, do not freeze the embryos.
The lady is on the phone, the customer's on the phone hollering at him about freezing the embryos, and that just brings me right on back to cryogenics. And the people that have their whole bodies and their heads and things frozen so that they could be reanimated. I mean, we're real close now. You know somebody over there at Alcor has tried.
What this man is doing could change the very process of creation itself.
I am not God, I just only do God's work. And if I have a choice between playing God and playing devil, I'd rather play God.
Okay, that was unsettling.
In the eerie blue light of his secret lab, one of the world's most controversial scientists shows off his creation, cloned human embryos that are genetic carbon copies of their father.
Okay, here's the other thing too. There's more than one way to clone a human, okay? It's not only one way. They got ways where they take the genetic material from one, put it in a woman's egg. They got one where they actually combine it with the woman genetic material. They got one where they just use the casing of the woman's genetic material and put two other completely different people. And now they're even developing a way to do it where there's 2 female genetic informations and like there's 3 total like contributors to this eventually born. I mean, is it a human? I mean, if it walks like one, talks like one, I mean, I don't know what that would be. I guess it would be, but it would have like different, some weird genetic stuff going on. But they're talking about this like he's got to do it in secret because it's illegal or something. And it's like there's many places where he could do this out in the open. Why is it so secret? Is it because he's doing something with the clones that then after he clones the clones, he's not supposed to be doing with the clones? I mean, it does raise a lot of ethical questions. What's the law? You know, what's the law? I mean, we will get into that at some point. There are states that have clone and kill laws in the United States where it's like, oh yeah, you could clone it, but you can't clone to make a new person like as a reproductive clone, but you could clone human tissues and embryos and things to do other stuff for research. And it's like,
Oh, my babies are doing well. Look beautiful.
Filmed for a TV documentary, Dr. Panagiotis Zavos implants 11 of the embryos in 4 women, one of them British, in the hope of producing the first cloned human being. The procedure is a criminal offence in the UK, but not in this undisclosed Middle Eastern country.
So this man right here in his lab, again, this is like the late 90s, early 2000s. He's cloning a clone that has only the genetic material of the father, of the male contributor. Like, it's just like a male clone, like male, like only male. It's like, I don't know, something like, not to get all traditional or anything, but something in me just feels like at the very least, like to make a baby, there should be an egg and a sperm. Maybe not. I'm not even, IVF and stuff, that's fine. I'm not talking about that. Actually, truly, I don't know what IVF is. I thought it was like a sperm and an ovum, and they come together and then they make at this point, maybe I need to look into that, but that's allowed.
I think we have 3 very good embryos that could be in utero today, and that if implantation is successful as well, and the pregnancy is maintained, as we say in the U.S., we have a home run.
Why is this man with this accent like this saying, as we say in the U.S., we have a home run? Why he ain't saying like we say in Greece? Like, excuse me, you freaking weirdo. Don't as we anything in the U.S. whenever you are doing secret clone experiments of human embryos. We in the U.S. would like for you to go back. Actually, I think I speak for all of us.
Dr. Zavos also reveals he's produced cloned embryos from 3 dead people, including Katie, who died in a car crash. He injected her DNA into a cow egg, though he hasn't implanted the animal-human hybrid.
Not only can 20 years ago, 25 years ago, they were in fact and indeed cloning humans, they were making cow-human hybrids 20 years ago. If you think it's a conspiracy theory, I wish it was.
British scientists have condemned his work as reckless. Cloning of animals such as Dolly has shown the technique carries risks of severe congenital abnormalities.
Something's wrong with him.
And be disgusting, because he's sowing false hope to begin with. So the individuals who are involved in this experiment, and that's what it is, an experiment, may well not realise that the outcome is almost certainly going to be negative. And to put couples through that, in my opinion, is unethical.
And like, there's a lot of conspiracy theories that I've heard over the years, and like some of them like easy to believe, some of them middle, and some of them are like, you're never getting me to believe that ever. You're just never getting me to believe. And one of the categories of that conspiracy theory for me was that they would say there was these underground government labs that had half human, half animals. Half human, half pig. It's the craziest thing. You're never going to get me to believe that. Well, imagine my surprise that I'm watching 20 years ago that the man put a little girl and a cow hybrid together. Actually, maybe they got something underground. I mean, you're not going to do it above the ground. If you could go in a cave or in a tunnel to do it, you might. This man said he's doing stuff in secret. He was, in fact and indeed, making a human cow hybrid in his secret lab. For real, he said it. I mean, I didn't look at the experiment. It was a long time ago.
Dr. Zavos adapted a standard cloning technique for his human patients.
A standard cloning technique. Okay, so back in 20 years ago, there was already many techniques, and some were standard, okay? This is not new.
He first took an egg from the mother and stripped out the nucleus containing 99.9% of her DNA. He then took a skin cell from the father and extracted the genetic material. That was injected into the empty egg and given a jolt of electricity to form a cloned embryo. Within a matter of days, the embryo would have grown into a ball of 32 cells, which Dr. Zavos implanted into the mother's womb. So far, none of the attempts has led to a viable pregnancy, but this infertile Canadian doctor, who wants to remain anonymous, says the technique is his only hope of having a child.
Pretty much decided that probably I would be the first one to be cloned, but then, if it worked, then we might go on to have another child.
Despite almost universal condemnation, Dr. Zavos has vowed to continue his work. He says more than 100 patients have contacted him in the hope of having a cloned baby.
So back in the late 90s and early 2000s, there were a few scientists who were the preeminent experts in cloning technology and cloning science, period. And it would end up being the case that they would work together, but they also seem to have fractured in their relationship at some point. There was this guy in Italy, there was like an Italian scientist, and then there was this Zavos guy we were just introduced to, and then there was another man who came from the Cryogenics Society. He was in the leadership over there, and he wanted to throw his hat in the cloning ring as well. Avi Ben Abraham. Okay, Avi Ben Abraham. And so in 2001, Ben Abraham, along with this Dr. Zavos, the one we just saw in the secret lair doing the half cow, half human, along with this third guy, this Italian scientist who was an infertility specialist, they announced their attempt to clone the first human. Now, they said they were going to do it in an undisclosed country.
In most of America, cloning hasn't been outlawed, but public hostility is such the professor is looking elsewhere. By next year, there could be a clinic where the first cloned babies will be born. In the next few weeks, Dr. Zavos will be flying to the Mediterranean, where he'll be scouting out possible locations.
Which, again, if it was not outlawed completely federally in the United States, I don't know why they would have to say we're not going to say it. They just said we're going to do it in the United States where it's legal. They were doing it in a, quote, undisclosed country. Well, y'all, all I had to do was watch a few YouTube videos to figure out that the country was very obviously, I'll just put the clip in here.
Arrived in Israel today, hoping to pave the way for human cloning here. Zavos met with one of Israel's most influential religious leaders, 104-year-old Rabbi Kaduri.
In all my appreciation.
Despite widespread moral and ethical objections to human cloning, Rabbi Kaduri gave the effort his official blessing.
There is a great wisdom in that process. God bless those who are doing it, and I'm all for it.
Kaduri has a lot of political clout. Israeli candidates routinely seek out his blessing. So today's stamp of approval is seen as a first step towards persuading Israel to legalize cloning.
This is a great day for us and a great day for Israel.
The man behind this weekend's political maneuvering is Dr. Avi Ben Avraham, a wealthy and well-connected member of the cloning consortium. If he succeeds in his mission, he says, the first human baby will be cloned in a fertility lab somewhere in Haifa, north of Tel Aviv, within the next few years.
Israel is the land of innovations, and we're hoping that we'll be able to do it here, obviously under the umbrella of the legal system.
This is where he went to meet a local leader, okay, to get his blessing, because you have to check in. It's not much different, frankly, than the Hoovers or the Eugene Henleys or the, Big U. You got to check in when you go into somebody's turf to do such a thing. And some speculated he was doing it maybe right off the coast here and there or whatever, but oh God, yeah. So we already made a video one time about the Gorianna, about how Walt Disney's frozen head and how Lima, and then it got the Alcor, and I mean, oh my God, that video was good. Y'all need to go back and watch that. But one of the things that I covered in that video is that people are purchasing basically like parking spots in the freezer tanks of these cryogenics companies that are freezing their bodies or their heads or their genetic material in order to reanimate them in the future. From what has been reported publicly, that has never actually worked, but that hasn't stopped people from paying thousands of dollars to have their, matter and remains frozen. So this guy, he was all up in it, this Avi Ben Abraham guy. And it kind of looks like he maybe was the plug into this undisclosed country.
The procedure is a criminal offence in the UK, but not in this undisclosed Middle Eastern country.
Like, it looks like that's kind of like, he was in with them. He's like, oh, I can introduce you. I know a guy that'll give you the blessing or whatever. And they did get the blessing. There was also this press conference that they had. So they do this press conference, and it actually was reported about in the Tampa Bay Times. This was March 2001, the very beginning of 2001. Now, this article has been updated in 2005. It was updated, so I don't know. Is this the, this is the updated version, but it says, in a scientific forum punctuated by shouting matches, 3 doctors from the United States, no, I'm gonna correct that. 3 doctors, one from Greece.
If they choose to reproduce via this mode, they will reproduce via this mode. This is a freedom that they have. In America, it is a freedom that is under the Constitution and is guaranteed to them.
One from Italy.
If the law against the cloning will be approved, it will return the dark age, like Afghanistan, like Iran. Please, I am proud to be in America.
And one from Israel.
The man behind this weekend's political maneuvering is Dr. Avi Ben Avraham, a wealthy and well-connected member of the cloning consortium.
Told critics Friday that nothing can stop their plan. Nothing can stop us. To create not just cloned humans. No, of course. What is it? What do you think? Take a guess. Clone children. Yeah, they want to clone children. They want children clones. They don't want adult clones. Just think about that. Anyway, they said more than 600 infertile couples have already signed up. The would-be pioneers disclosed little new information about their project, first announced 6 weeks ago, and spurned the idea of submitting to ethical or scientific oversight by any government. Instead, they spent 4 polemic-filled hours either belittling rival researchers and wary politicians, or trying to convince them, and a skeptical public, that science is ready to move on to cloning humans despite a disturbing rate of disease and deformities in similarly reproduced animals. Quote, some claim that we're moving too fast. They are right, said Avi Ben Abraham. Again, some say we're moving too fast. They are right. Stop pushing. An American-Israeli biotechnologist. You know what I thought about recently? What even is biotech? Like, we say it so much. When you really think about it, it's like biology and technology together. I think we have enough of that. I think we can stop now. We have IVF and surrogates. Like, do we really need clones for adopting? I mean, there's also kids that don't, they lost their mommy and their daddy and they don't have none of that. So they need to go adopt them. I don't know. Girl, I don't know. He's like, we are moving as fast as we can think, as fast as we can imagine, but we are proceeding with the utmost responsibility, according to who? Then there's this Italian doctor, he pipes in. He already had pushed the boundaries of fertility treatment by helping women become pregnant in their late 50s and early 60s. He and this Zavos, Greece guy, a Grecian reproductive physiologist who just left the University of Kentucky, announced their project on January 25th, apparently becoming the first specialist in reproduction to publicly set the goal of cloning a human being. Now, they do have a competitor for the first people to clone a human, and it's going to end up being a very bizarre alien religious cult, okay, or a religious cult that thinks they might be aliens or getting messages from aliens, okay, so.
Then came Dolly the sheep, and now nobody's laughing anymore. Everybody's afraid, and we are laughing.
Cloning is not illegal in most states in America. And the Raelian movement has both the money and the scientific expertise.
I'm wondering who actually cloned the first human. Somebody definitely did. You know, it had problems. It probably was like a Frankenstein, and maybe Mary Shelley was trying to tell us something back in 1881. Okay, so they have this forum and they got into it with each other. There's actually YouTube videos. There's videos of this exact incident. And I'm just going to show y'all how fired up all three of these dudes were. They were fired up. They were in rare form.
In the public saying that Severino and I cannot do this, and they're basing all that on circumstantial evidence. You just can't do that.
I want to remember, President Bush, if the law against the cloning is approved, it will be the return the dark age, like Afghanistan, like the Taliban in Iran.
What do you think of the Italian scientist that wants to clone a human being this fall?
As you know, I supported the anti-cloning legislation in the Congress, and I'll be making a statement about my views on how life and science should interface when I'm ready.
So this press conference and all that was just leading up to them saying that they were going to try to do it. Well, remember this guy right here, that Italian guy, the Italian fertility specialist? Look at this headline. Again, this is a headline. I didn't write it. This is from 2002. This was over 20 years ago. Italy's Antinori says he's cloned 3 people. So we started this video, you know, is it possible? Is it legal? Is it allowed? Has it been done? Well, according to the United Press International News Analysis Insight, May 9th, 2002, this fertility specialist from Italy says yes, he did it. Three times, 3 people. He shocked observers a month ago when he reportedly said on the sidelines of a conference in the UAE that an Arab patient of his was 8 weeks pregnant with the world's first cloned human. He declined to elaborate. However, the staff at his office in Rome would neither confirm nor deny the claim. This week, this scientist spoke to Italian television reporters to say that he has helped 3 women become pregnant with clones, a claim his office has confirmed. There are 3 of them, ranging from the 6th week to the 10th week of their terms. The pregnancies are progressing nicely. Staff members did not provide additional information about the 3 women, citing their rights to privacy. We live in hell. This was in 2002, y'all. This ain't 2025. So he said despite the outrage from political and religious leaders over the possibility of cloned humans, the reason the project was top secret was not moral, but social. In the country, he said, where these babies will be born, the children will be treated as monsters unless the climate of persecution changes. Okay, well, he did say, you know, one of the countries was the UAE, which I don't know, I'm not Muslim, but I would imagine, like, you know, Allah probably like doesn't want clone babies. Maybe he does, I don't know, somebody can tell me. Religious leaders were speaking out to you and saying this, no, we're not doing cloning. This is not what God has intended. Of certain religions, there was a Catholic one. So people were really speaking out, and you can also see how these guys are so good at propaganda, because it's like you're persecuting the clone. If there's a clone baby going to school with your baby and it acts crazy and you have a problem with it, you are persecuting that clone, and it's going to be seen as a monster. Maybe it's going to be seen as a monster because something's wrong with it. I bet you if it just went to school and acted normal, like probably nothing would be wrong. Nobody would look at it as a monster. I don't know, girl. I don't know. Now, a lot of people even back then were like, he's lying, Your Honor. No, that's not true. He's not doing that. He just wants clout. I'll leave it up to y'all whether you believe it or not, but that leads us to the next topic that I want to discuss, and we are going to do it in the next video of this series, and that is right around exactly. I mean, I'm talking like on to the date. timeline of when one of these 3 clone babies would have been born. There's a pretty crazy religious cult out here that claims that they might have one of those babies. Apparently this cult claimed that they had cloned a lot of humans, so we got to talk about that. It would be France, look what they let go on over there, or maybe, you know, Montreal, Quebec, something. People did not like it over there either.
There's so many disastrous things that can come about from somebody doing this with a bad motive.
I don't think we should allow it to manifest where it's actually cloned as a human. Just the cells itself may be a benefit, but not to the point where there's a person like yourself or myself living among us.
And in fact and indeed, it ended up turning out to be the case that in the UK in 2005, they finally just banned human cloning outright in the law. Now, in the United States, they did go back and forth in Congress or whatever about whether or not there should be a federal ban on human cloning. To this day, December whatever it is, 2025, there is no federal ban in the United States on human cloning. Now, there is a ban in some states, so there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's only 8 out of 50 states that just outright ban human cloning. That would be, just for your information, Arkansas, Michigan, North Dakota, South Dakota, Virginia, Arizona, Indiana, Oklahoma. And then some states have this, you can clone, but you can't clone for reproductive reasons. It can only be for scientific research. And you can only let the clone be alive for 14 days and you got to kill it. It's called clone and kill laws. And those exist in California, Connecticut, Iowa, Louisiana, and this just blows my mind because I think Louisiana just outlawed abortion. So they have a law in Louisiana that if you clone a human embryo, you must kill it. You must. But then you can't. Anyway, also these clone and kill states include also Maryland, Massachusetts, Missouri, New Jersey, and Rhode Island. Again, like I said, the UK done ban cloning. The whole UK done said, no, you can't do that. But as of right now, there's no federal ban. Now, we do see Bill Clinton would come out and say, and he would make statements like, we got to ban cloning or whatever. But like, I don't think that ever happened.
Our administration believes that there are loopholes that could allow the cloning of human beings if the technology were developed. Therefore, today I am issuing a directive that bans the use of any federal funds for any cloning of human beings.
Tonight I ask you to pass legislation to prohibit the most egregious abuses of medical research, human cloning in all its forms, creating or implanting embryos for experiments, creating human-animal hybrids, and buying, selling, or patenting human embryos.
I don't think it ever happened, and from all my research, it never happened. So that's like one of the biggest revelations to me from this series, and what I learned is like, I just assumed and took for granted that cloning humans was illegal. I thought it wasn't allowed. I thought it wasn't allowed anywhere. Come to find out, it's allowed a lot of places. And it was allowed a lot of places until fairly recently. Anyway, so these people right here, they over there in Canada, and this was all going on in the early 2000s.
Adam and Eve, it's the first human being created through human cloning.
His name is Rael, and he heads a wealthy, well-organized religious sect whose faith is science and whose ambition is to use existing technology to clone a human being.
So on December 26th, the day after Christmas, 2002, a company named Clonaid, led by a French ex-journalist who ran a religious group, which probably, is appropriate to call it a religious cult, named the Raelians. Okay, the Raelians. Got it. Now, they claim to have cloned a baby girl named Eve. So weird they named her Eve, too, because Adam and Eve, the first woman, so the first clone is named Eve. Anyway, Eve allegedly was born in an undisclosed country where cloning is not illegal. Well, could have been this one. Could have been another one. Anyway, Clonaid held a press conference in Hollywood, Florida. Oh God, how many roads lead to Hollywood, Florida? That's where Star Search and Mickey Mouse Club was. LeChew. Anyway, they held this press conference to announce the birth, but they did not bring up the baby clone.
I'm very, very pleased to announce that the first baby clone is born. She was born yesterday at 11:55 a.m. in the country where she was born. So this will not give you more details about the location. She's fine. We call her Eve between us. You knew that, of course. Some suggested it, and I thought it was a good idea, actually. You won't have the right name. And, you know, for a long time, I thought that this press conference will be with the baby, the parents, the scientists, everybody surrounding me, and having pleasure announcing it. I'm alone. And there is a reason to that, is that it hasn't been easy to face the world with this announcement. And we have been discussing with the parents the last 3 months how we would handle today. And they decided not to show up yet. They will. I hope they will. And I wish them well. We started really to work with human eggs in January of this year. So it took us 3 months to finalize, and this is very short, and that's why I said, is it luck or is it hard work? I do believe it's hard work. But we had really good success very quickly and refined the technique for human eggs until spring, where we started to have implantation. We had 10 implantations, and 5 of them during the first 3 weeks were terminated spontaneously.
So they're out here saying that they have a cloned baby and it was born. Now, if you reverse engineer the timeline, no, we do timelines on this channel, this human cloned baby Eve could have very, very well been one of those 3 clone pregnancies from the previous video, where those scientists were like, we have 3 successful clone implementations or whatever, May 9th, 2002. This fertility specialist from Italy says, yes, he did it. 3 times, 3 people. He shocked observers a month ago when he reportedly said on the sidelines of a conference in the UAE that an Arab patient of his was 8 weeks pregnant with the world's first cloned human. And then those that nobody ever heard from them cloned babies. So like maybe they didn't survive the pregnancies, or maybe they did. And if they did, then what? So we'll have this clip right here, and this clip is kind of what led me to believe that might be what's going on, because this lady is like, we're working with some specialists, with some experts, but not linked with them financially, but we're just working with them.
So now we have 3 scientists working almost full-time in a lab here in the United States with the major goal for us to produce a human embryo by human cloning.
And it's like, okay, so for research purposes, did one of your cult members carry the baby?
Among the volunteer surrogate mothers for human clones are these young devotees of the Raelian sect.
I always wanted a baby, but you know, the problem of overpopulation and it's a dedication for 20 years, which is too long because I want to do so much for others. If I dedicate myself to one kid, I won't be able to help all the one that needs help right now.
And I'm just going to throw in some clips here of how weird this cult is and how willing they are to do it.
Dr. Brigitte Boisselier is cloning humans.
We are dealing with human reproduction, and we are preparing embryos in a laboratory that is included in the clinic, and this is located in a place where it's perfectly legal to do it. So that's the background. We do have 6 scientists working full-time, and we have experts who are associated to us but are not linked to us by any financial thing. They are just experts who are looking at what we're doing in the sense that they will be our witnesses when we just publish and when we open that to the public. So we have very healthy blastocyst, and we hope to present the baby.
And then Mom, my mother, she's a Dr. Boisselier, and she was working on it for a while. And then I grew up, and it was time for me where my body starts feeling I want a kid. And I thought that having a kid, like, if it's for science, if it's for the whole humanity, and if it's for a couple who are infertile and want a kid, and then I could have that kid, I could have the experience of being pregnant, which I really want to go through, and I won't have to keep the kid.
Simplement, un jour j'ai entendu parler one day I heard of this new technique of cloning. And then I understood they needed surrogate mothers. I simply put myself forward as a volunteer candidate. Je vais aider I'm going to help science bring a child into the world. I'm going to carry the child for 9 months, and at the end of the 9 months, I'm going to give it back.
Like, they talk about the cloning in the cult. It's not like a secret. It's like a cloning cult. And I don't even know if I can even show what their cult logo looks like on YouTube. Now, they did seem to have like a rebrand of the cult logo, probably for those reasons. And it looks like also maybe they were trying to operate in Israel, and it's kind of hard to operate in Israel if you have a sticker as your logo. But I don't know. I mean, look like the seal of Solomon mixed with the sticker. So, I mean, girl, I don't know. And it reminds me so much of the Lifeboat Foundation. Yes to human cloning. No to human cloning. Again, the Raelians. Really? Okay. Anyway, so after this claim was made, right, it wasn't, oh, we have the technology. Oh, we did it and then we killed it after 14 days. Oh, we got a pregnancy. No. She said they were out here and they had a baby and it was Eve and she was alive. Now, they didn't show any proof for that. So again, we had naysayers saying that wasn't true, that didn't happen. So they always try to say it's an undisclosed country, but then somebody somewhere like lets it slip. They let the cat out of the bag. We have a headline here. It says, Baby Eve clone is in Israel. Company chief claims. Florida judge throws out guardianship petition. All roads lead to Florida guardianships. Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The head of a company claiming to have cloned humans said Wednesday that the alleged first human clone ever, known as Baby Eve, is in Israel. Bridget Boisselier, chief executive officer of CloneAid, made the disclosure under oath at a hearing into whether Florida should appoint a guardian for Eve. I knew this was where they were heading with this. I said some stuff off camera I can't even say, because y'all are going to try to put me in an asylum. Or somebody will. I know y'all won't, but somebody might. But this could start explaining a whole lot more why people like guardianship so damn much. Is there like a clone generation up on the rise at this point? Now they're older than 18. This stuff was happening. This was 2002. The judge said no guardian for this child. Now, this scientist also maintained under oath that 2 other cloned babies have been born. So again, I renew my speculation that these 3 cloned babies are the same exact 3 cloned babies that those 3 doctors, the Israeli, the Greece, and the Italian, were doing in their press conference. They had said that it was 3 and they wouldn't say where it was and all that. And because the people would think they were monsters or whatever. So I think it could be the same 3. And then they just volunteered to be the incubators or the surrogates. But she said this under oath at a hearing. And this is after she had the press conference where she said they have Eve and she wanted to get a guardianship over this baby, or she wanted somebody to. She maintained under oath, I'm guessing penalty of perjury. I don't know what under oath would be other than that. There's 3 of them and they all been born. Now, the company CloneAid was founded by a man who also created the Raelian religious sect. Oh, and this cult claims that life on Earth was started by extraterrestrials. Okay. So the man who founded and started the company that does the cloning also founded and started the cult, who thinks that life on Earth was started by aliens, extraterrestrials specifically.
Expelled from his native France, former racing car driver and journalist Rael now has his base in Canada. It's his ambition to build the structure shown in this model near Jerusalem. Its purpose? To welcome the alien race which inspired his interest in human cloning. The flying saucer is apparently a full-scale replica of the one he originally witnessed in a volcano in France. Rael first inspired Dr. Boisselier, a disciple, to develop research into human cloning. He founded CloneAid and believes cloning is the way to an eternal life where we'll eventually transfer our memories and personalities into adult replicas.
I was first on the earth to say human cloning is coming very soon. That was 28 years ago. After the encounter with this very advanced civilization from space.
Now, importantly, by 2002, they had really not offered any proof that the babies existed or that clones can actually exist. It could also be the fact that the babies was born messed up and they weren't real proud of it, but they were proud of it, but they didn't want to show what the babies were looking like. I don't know. They never did offer any proof, hardcore proof. They just said it happened. Now, she initially promised DNA tests to prove that Eve was a clone, but later she backed out, saying the parents were concerned that the court was going to try to take the baby away. Now, she said that she's only seen a videotape of the baby. Now, after her testimony, the Broward County Circuit Judge ruled he had no jurisdiction over the case, and he threw the case out. So again, like, this is where Scientology is based. It's based in Pinellas. Can we put a map up? Show Pinellas County, Clearwater, and please show me how far away Fort Lauderdale is. Thank you. Now, by January 2003, that's when the 2 more clone babies were born, one to a Dutch lesbian couple and another, the first boy clone, to a couple in Japan. That's according to, this article here. Now, this is a way back archive of the Clonaid website from 2004. Now, importantly, the Clonaid website's still up and running today. You can go type it in, go look it up right now today. But we got an archived picture from 2004 claiming 3 babies are now alive thanks to our dedicated team of doctors and scientists, with babies born in Australia, Mexico, Brazil, Spain, Italy, England, and Hong Kong. Thousands of families have contacted Clonaid in the last couple of years in the hope to see a later born twin of their deceased family member again. Oh, twin? Like they were saving the twin in utero for several years and until after the first twin died. Belated twin. Many of those families are families of celebrities, business leaders, and political leaders. We are currently working on the case of a prime minister whose son had lost his life. He had been killed. We at Clonaid are very proud that we've been able to realize this dream for some of those families already, because of celebrities. We are going to talk about celebrity clone theories in the next video, and I just want to, as a spoiler, put that Xena LaVey right next to Taylor Swift. This is one of the conspiracy theories. Okay, we're going to get into that, but that's in the next video. But this is what this website had said. Again, y'all, there's no proof for this. I didn't see proof for this. This could be some people with having a schizophrenic delusion, as far as I'm aware. Okay, I'm just reading you what the website said in 2004. That families of celebrities and business leaders and political leaders. Now, this is 2004. This is like years. This is like almost 10 years after Britney Spears hit the scene, So no wonder there's Britney Spears clone theories. Again, we'll get into that in the next video. They said they were very proud that they were able to realize this dream for some of the families. The world's first clone baby boy is actually the belated twin of his dead brother. Please, girl. He was born January 2003, shortly after the first baby girl, Eve, was born. According to his parents, he has developed different behaviors than the twin. So they're calling him a twin instead of a clone because he don't act like the person he got cloned. Like, that's the thing. We learned this in the first video. Sometimes don't even look like him. You just is like pulling a... But he likes the same toys. Oh, shocker. Little boys like trains. Got it. Contrary to what some bad movies try to make people believe, cloning a dead person is not about exploiting people in difficult times, but about providing another option for them instead of grief and despair. No, baby girl, baby boy, that's a trap. You gotta just go through grief. We all gotta go through grief. It's just part of it. I think it's weird when they do the AI cloning of a deceased loved one. That freaks me out.
Well, speaking with the dead, it used to be something you needed a medium for, or maybe even a Ouija board to do, but now one AI startup says you can do it with your phone. The app is called Two Way, and it lets you upload photos and video of just about anybody to create your own AI avatar. Two Way promising to let users chat with business luminaries, actors, even historical figures like William Shakespeare. But it's the promise of keeping grandma alive digitally that's drawing attention now.
He's listening. Put your hand on your tummy and hum to him. You used to love that.
Ooh, it just gave me chills.
Recently, it was, I believe, Martin Luther King Jr. His family came out and said, someone from his family was like, can you stop making AI like motivational speeches? It's like very weird and very creepy. Other living loved ones of deceased relatives have said, can you stop making AI remakes of my dead family member? It's freaking me out. The last paragraph of this article says, in a not too distant future, advanced cloning technologies will allow us even to recreate a deceased person in an adult body. This was in 2004, 21 years ago. With all his past experiences and memories, allowing mankind to enter the age of immortality, as it has been announced by His Holiness Rael. Oh, that's why it's Raelism. His Holiness Rael, founder of Clonaid. In 1973, already after his contact... Okay, so he got contacted by the Elohim in 1973. When was Scientology established? So he thinks the Elohim are mankind's extraterrestrial creators. Where have I heard this Elohim before? Elohim? Nephilim? Seraphim?
The Elohim, whose name is in the Bible, and they are the creators of life on earth. They came on the earth, a very advanced civilization long time ago. They came on the earth built big laboratories. And inside these laboratories, using DNA and genetic engineering, they did create all life on Earth.
Then they said, as of March 1st, 2004, 30 human clones have been implanted and 23 pregnancies are underway. Okay, well, I don't know if any of that's true, and we will supplement this heavily with clips because don't take it from me. And frankly, don't take it from them either. They seem a little bit off their rocker and a little bit deranged. I'm not really sure we could take them for their word, but that's what they said. So apparently, according to them, yes, you can clone a human, and yes, they did indeed have human clones being born all over the world. Now I'm like, oh my God. It does make you kind of have to start having some conspiratorial thoughts, which is why we're going to get into celebrity clone conspiracy theories. In my research, I came across a few celebrity clone theories, but it's kind of like once you start looking at clone whatever, you just start seeing it everywhere. So I have noticed kind of like an uptick on my personal algorithm of celebrity clone theories. Now, these are like conspiracy theories, of course, obviously, but I'm going to refrain from giving my personal opinion on most of these conspiracy theories, but I do want to just say these are conspiracy theories from the internet. I am not saying that any of them are true. I do not know any of these people, nor do I know whether they are a clone or not. That is something you're going to have to take up with the appropriate authorities. That's not me. That's not in my jurisdiction. Okay. So the first celebrity clone conspiracy theory, it's hard to know which first one that I heard of, but I definitely remember early on hearing about this Avril Lavigne is a clone conspiracy theory.
If you want to know what I think that I am, I think that I'm just a rock chick. And I like to rock out.
And I heard about it a long time ago, but then Sloan made a video about it a couple years ago, and then I think he made another recent video about it again.
The conspiracy that Avril Lavigne has been replaced has continued for 2 decades, even though Avril Lavigne has responded to the allegations that she was replaced by a woman named Melissa. Nobody seems to believe her. After comparing photo evidence, comparing handwriting, and even comparing their speech patterns, there's a noticeable difference between Avril Lavigne in 2002 and the new Avril Lavigne we were introduced to in 2003.
But there are some compelling pieces of evidence, if these photos are to be believed, anything can be photoshopped, of course, that maybe Avril Lavigne has a body double. Like
the Avril you see nowadays isn't the real Avril, and it's been that way for a very long time.
Basically, back in 2002, Avril Lavigne was blowing up, and she wasn't the type that enjoyed the paparazzi or the red carpets, so her record label hired a lookalike that would do all of those things for her, Melissa Vandell. The story goes that Avril Lavigne is herself. Now, this is when Avril Lavigne was the most popular she's ever been. So the theory is that the record label did not want that to go away, so they had Melissa step in.
What the compelling evidence is to me is, they'll show her ear, the ear looks completely different, or they'll show certain traits, certain facial features that are supposedly not things that you could easily change. Ear is one of them. I don't exactly even remember the details of it. Again, y'all, these are conspiracy theories. I'll just put the clip in here.
As you can see in this picture, they do look very different, but maybe it was just a makeover. But one person started measuring everything, and measurements went in, things did change. I mean, the space between the eyebrows is bigger, the nose is narrower, the space between the chin and the lip is a lot smaller, the brow line is different. Pretty much everything on her face is adjusted just a little bit, which makes people think even more that it's Melissa.
We could never do this video without talking about the Britney Spears clone conspiracy theories. And I almost thought this should be its own whole video because it's been going on for a long time, and there's a lot of evidence that people like to point to say Britney Spears in her current iteration is a clone, or Britney Spears has clones running around.
Mainly, the biggest theory that is out there right now is that Britney has been cloned. And listen, I'm not mad at y'all for thinking this. I'm just gonna say that. This theory alleges that Britney has been replaced by a body double or a clone. Some believe that Britney passed away in a car accident back in 2001. Apparently, in June of 2001, Dallas radio DJs Kramer and Twitch falsely reported that Britney and Justin Timberlake had gotten into a car accident and they had both passed away. This false report led to all kinds of panic among fans, who then called the police and fire department so much that the phone lines were being flooded from calls from all over the world. LA authorities ended up having to issue a statement confirming that there was no accident. The DJs were eventually fired for this, though, and they claimed that they had gotten permission to start the rumor from the program director. At least that was the story at the time. I mean, Keith Kramer, one of the radio hosts, started posting on social media back in 2023 when the clone theories were at their height, making it seem like a firefighter friend of his actually told him about the car wreck and that it was real.
People are saying that she was cloned after that accident and that it really happened.
You think about, like, if she had passed away and certain behind the scene entities have the power to clone, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they to continue to control? So, like, people are putting this together like this really makes sense. Now, these posts that were going out were quickly deleted, and Britney's manager confirmed that she was fine and well.
It could be body doubles, I want to just say.
Hollywood Life claims it's come across a casting notice searching for a Britney Spears body double for an upcoming music video. And it's pretty specific. The ad seeks an aspiring double who is 5'4", 130 pounds, wears a size 4 dress and a size 7 shoe. The stand-in must also have measurements of, or extremely close to, 32, 27, 35, with a C cup, and be between the ages of 21 to 33. It's widely believed that Britney used a body double for her Till the World Ends music video, and the singer denied using a doppelganger in her Hold It Against Me video despite rumors.
A lot of times, you know, there's even a video that is public and goes around of Britney Spears backstage recording a music video, and a body double wearing her exact outfit walks through in the video, and it's like, you know, this has been out for years. So I do want to play a few clips and let y'all know the different parts and aspects of the Britney Spears clone theory, but they definitely the theorists like to point to the song where it's like, she's an original. I don't even know the song, but then it's like, she wanted you to know she's been cloned. She's been cloned. She's been cloned.
Yeah, no wonder the record label didn't want anybody to hear it. What the
And it's like, oh no, she's the clone. And then there was another time, there's a music video where Britney Spears it wasn't live action, it was a live music video. It was a cartoon, like animated. And she's like a comic book hero, cartoon hero, superhero. And she's running around and she's supposedly escaping the Britney Spears clone factory. I don't know how much of that I'm going to be able to show. Definitely can't play the song. People point to her teeth.
I've been asked a lot to discuss Britney Spears' teeth. People think she's a clone. My name is Dr. Gorianna. I'm a dentist. I'm going to debunk the teeth situation. On the left-hand side, we can see her teeth are very straight, they're very symmetrical, and on the right-hand side, we can see a little gap has formed. However, gaps can form over time for various reasons. For example, if you lose a tooth at the back, the teeth at the front can drift because they're like, oh, there's a gap, and what am I going to do with it? There's also other reasons, like your teeth at the bottom could be drifting, affecting the way that your teeth are moving. Gum disease can also be an indicator, but I doubt Britney has that. She may have had some dental work done, something like veneers. It's difficult to tell, actually. I've been looking at some photos, but if she has had them done, again, the teeth can move apart from each other. This doesn't mean that she is a clone.
People point to her eyes. Sometimes these girls, they get a little carried away. They'll be zooming in on her hand and then they'll use like an app to AI enhance, and they'll have like 6 fingers then or something. And it's like, well, girl, that's not. And then they'll analyze the thing as if it's like, it'll be like a 3-pixel picture of Britney Spears from TMZ or something, like all the way across the way. And they zoom in, and they put this AI filter and it turns her into yassified, and it's like, that's not Britney. And it's like, no, it's not, but okay. Sony Twitter hacked. Falsely claims Britney Spears died. That is another aspect of those theories, as well as there is this paperwork from the Britney Spears conservatorship in the court. It's like a filed court document from 2009 or 2010, and this would have been about 1 to 2 years after the conservatorship started. And it says conservatee Britney Spears deceased. And then Sony claimed she died, but then they said they were hacked.
Sony Music Entertainment's Twitter account falsely announced yesterday that singer Britney Spears had died. She is, in fact, alive. The inaccurate report also appeared on Bob Dylan's Twitter account. Now, a hacker group called Our Mind says that it broke into Sony's account to correct that report.
So then, of course, there's the Jamie Foxx clone conspiracy theories. I'll put a couple clips there.
I snuck my phone because I didn't know what the outside world was saying. And so I snuck my phone to see what people were saying. I've just been in this hospital and I couldn't get my mind around it. I had a stroke. I'm in perfect shape. The clone shit threw me. Yes. When they said I was a clone, that made me flip in the hospital. That's it. These motherfuckers are trying to clone me. I didn't have a stroke. So I'm sitting in the hospital bed like these bitch ass. And then I saw me walk into my room, but I'm white. So I see the white me.
But he had a Caesar too? Just like you?
All that, the white me. Okay, gotcha. And I'm like, and I'm trying to get their attention. And no one said anything, and I'm like, that's it. They trying to clone me. This motherfucker is all a thing. And so the next morning, I was out of my bed. I was standing there like Chris Pratt in Jurassic Park. I said, what's up, Fox? I said, I know what's up. You're trying to clone me, motherfucker. I saw the white clone, and I know why you're trying to clone me. And make me white, because I'll sell better overseas and all this other kind of stuff.
And then he actually made a video called Tyrone Was Cloned or something. And I think that the clone theories of him being cloned were like maybe like a little bit of a marketing thing for that movie. But like, I don't really know. But that's not the only celebrities who have these clone conspiracy theories. Of course, how could we get through a section about this without talking about Kanye West might be a robotic clone conspiracy theories.
There have been speculations all over the internet that Kanye has been cloned, right? I know, ridiculous claims, right? Well, let's find out together. Hear me out, you guys. While it's true that Kanye was always very controversial, this new Kanye isn't quite the one that we're used to. First of all, isn't it a bit suspicious that he disappeared for some time only to show up as a whole different person from looks, fashion sense, and even physique? Kanye clone, you ain't fooling nobody.
They allege that he was supposedly replaced by a clone Kanye in 2016. And that's when he started acting so different and so weird and...
I'm dead. Picasso is dead. Walt Disney is dead. I'm dead. Steve Jobs is dead. I called the head of Payless. I'm like, I'm dead.
Really, whenever he says that they put him into the asylum and drugged him and stuff, what they were really doing was cloning him. So that's the clone theory.
I think there are clones. Okay, and I think Kanye is a clone, and I'm gonna tell you why. Remember, he was really talking a lot. He was really saying too much. The cabal didn't like that, you know? The Illuminati, the cabal, they did not like how much he was saying. He was calling a lot of people out, and he said, if I go away and I come back and I look different, that is not me. What the happened? He was gone.
And they cloned me. They looked at me, showed me. I'm here with my homies.
Of course, oh my God, stop. They have Corey Gamble behind Donald Trump and Kanye West in the thumbnail.
Look, robot. See it? The jerks. Robot. He's dead or hiding somewhere. Look, no soul at all. Robot.
Anyway, there's also conspiracy theories about like this time period is whenever Kanye West had bleached his hair, and that is supposedly like to signify that he has done a personality wipe.
There's something strange going on with Kanye West. Anytime he calls out powerful people, political figures, or the systems he says control the industry, something happens to him. He spirals into a massive rant, the headlines explode, and then he vanishes into a hospital room. People who follow this theory look all the way back to 2002 and the car accident that almost killed him. They believed that moment changed more than just his jaw. They say it was the start of a version of Kanye that felt managed, controlled, and almost manufactured. But things got intense in 2016. He goes onto stage, names names, calls out politicians and billionaires, and within days he's suddenly hospitalized.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
After that moment, his entire presence shifts. His face looks different, his voice sounds different, his beliefs have changed, and the Kanye that people grew up with is completely gone.
So, the other thing too that again, I'm going to refrain from what I believe, but I'll just say, there's a kind of middle ground here where it's not actually cloning Kanye West, but it is kind of lobotomizing him in some way. That's how they used to do it, with physical lobotomies on people in these insane asylums and the psych wards. And that's why it really does kind of give me pause whenever I see people talking about making insane asylums great again. They used to lobotomize people in them, y'all. And now allegation is that they're lobotomizing people chemically with these substances, these very, very high dose chemicals in their brains. And Kanye said it was hard for him. Britney Spears said whenever she was in this forced treatment, Bridges to Recovery, that she was given lithium.
Anybody that's on lithium, have you ever seen anybody that's been on lithium for a long time and what it does to their brain? There's a lot of conspiracies on the internet regarding Britney Spears. It's probably the most famous example of somebody that was forced put on lithium for years. People think that she's dead. People have put up all of these theories on TikTok. This is not the same Britney Spears. Look at her teeth, her spacing, her face has changed, her forehead looks different. You can find so many conspiracies of people that actually believe that the government has killed Britney Spears and that they've hired some other woman to act like her on her Instagram. This is what people believe. I know what I believe. I believe that Britney Spears is showing you what happens when you are put on lithium for a long time. People are just so stunned. They can't even fathom what has happened to her, and it's that simple. This is what happens to your brain when you are put on lithium. There is no pathway back, and that breaks my heart to say that, by the way. I'm not saying that to mock Britney Spears whatsoever. I think it is absolutely horrific that she was put on something as powerful as lithium for as long as she was put on lithium against her will. It is a crime that happened to her.
She said she was given so much lithium that she couldn't even talk to her parents to tell them what was going on. She couldn't even talk. And she claims that the reason why that happened is because she was in the residency, was about to start. Her third residency was about to start, and she was practicing. She was in rehearsal. They wanted her to do this dance move she didn't want to do. She didn't really elaborate on it, but the speculation is that it was like she was kind of getting tired of doing all this usual stuff. Like, she's like, I have kids, I'm a mother, I just want to dance, like Janet Jackson or whatever. Like, she just want to dance. And she said no to a dance move. They immediately brought the whole team behind closed doors except her, left her out, and talked for 45 minutes. And she said immediately they put her on lithium. She was chastised by her doctor. Now, why aren't you cooperating with the people in the tour? And, things like that. And she claims that she was put on so much lithium she couldn't even talk. She had to sit in a chair all day and talk to this lady. She said it was the worst thing I've ever been through. And she had been in a conservatorship for like 10 years already by that point.
When I came off that tour, a new show in Las Vegas was supposed to take place. I started rehearsing early, but it was hard because I'd been doing Vegas for 4 years and I needed a break in between. But no, I was told this is the timeline and this is how it's gonna go. I rehearsed 4 to 4 days a week, half of the time in the studio and half of the other time in a Westlake studio. I was basically directing most of the show with my whereabouts, where I preferred to rehearse and actually do the choreography, meaning I taught my dancers my new choreography myself. I take everything I do very seriously. There's tons of video with me at rehearsals. I wasn't good. I was great. I led a room of 16 new dancers in rehearsals. It's funny to hear my manager's side of the story. They all said I wasn't participating in rehearsals and I never agreed to take my medication, which my medication is only taken in the mornings, never at rehearsal. They don't even see me. So why are they even claiming that? When I said no to one dance move into rehearsals, it was as if I planted a huge bomb somewhere. And I said, no, I don't want to do it this way. After that, my management and my dancers and my assistant of the new people that were supposed to do the new show all went into a room, shut the door, and didn't come out for at least 45 minutes. Ma'am, I'm not here to be anyone's slave. I can say no to a dance move. I was told by my, at the time, therapist, Dr. Benson, who died, that my manager called him in that moment and told him I wasn't cooperating or following the guidelines in rehearsals. And he also said I wasn't taking my medication, which is so dumb because I've had the same lady every morning for the past 8 years give me my same medication, and I'm nowhere near these stupid people. It made no sense at all. There was a week period where they were nice to me and they said, I don't want to do, and I told them I don't want to do the, they were nice to me. They said, if I don't want to do the new Vegas show, I don't have to, because I was getting really nervous. I said, I can wait. It was like, they told me I could wait. It was like lifting literally 200 pounds off of me when they said I don't have to do the show anymore, because I was really, really hard on myself and it was too much. I couldn't take it anymore. So I remember telling my assistant, but you know what? I feel weird if I say no. I feel like they're going to come back and be mean to me or punish me or something. 3 days later, after I said no to Vegas, my therapist sat me down in a room and said he had a million phone calls about how I was not cooperating in rehearsals and I haven't been taking my medication. All of this was a false. He immediately the next day put me on lithium out of nowhere. He took me off my normal meds I'd been on for 5 years. And lithium is a very, very strong and completely different medication compared to what I was used to. You can go mentally impaired if you take too much, if you stay on it longer than 5 months. But he put me on that and I felt drunk. I really couldn't even take up for myself. I couldn't even have a conversation with my mom or dad really about anything. I told them I was scared and my doctor had me on 6 different nurses with this new medication come to my home, stay with me, to monitor me on this new medication, which I never wanted to be on to begin with. There were 6 different nurses in my homes and they wouldn't let me get in my car to go anywhere for a month. Not only did my family not do a goddamn thing, my dad was all for it. Anything that happened to me had to be approved by my dad, and my dad only he didn't know that I was told I had to be tested over the Christmas holidays before they sent me away when my kids went home to Louisiana. He was the one who approved all of it. My whole family did nothing. Over the 2-week holiday, a lady came into my home for 4 hours a day, sat me down and did a psych test on me. It took forever. But I was told after I did the psych test with this lady, basically saying I had failed the test or whatever. I'm sorry, Brittany, you have to listen to your doctors. They are planning to send you to a small home in Beverly Hills to do a small rehab program that we're going to make up for you. You're going to pay $60,000 a month for this. I cried on the phone for an hour and he loved every minute of it. The control he had over someone as powerful as me, as he loved the control to hurt his own 1,000%, he loved it. I packed my bags and went to that place. I worked 7 days a week, no days off, which in California, the only similar thing to this is called sex trafficking, making anyone work against their will, taking all their possessions away, credit card, cash, phone, passport card, and placing them in a home where they work with the people who live with them. They all lived in the house with me, the nurses, the 24/7 security.
So, that's one kind of middle ground theory, is that nobody's being cloned, but they are being kind of like lobotomized, reprogrammed, some might say. And, the conspiracy theories do spiral out because a lot of times Britney Spears will be brought up with Project MK Ultra, which was a mind control experiment done on Americans and others by our very own government and in coordination with governments of other nations, including Canada. There were MK Ultra experiments done in Montreal. None of the things that I'm saying right now are conspiracy theories. This part right here, what I'm telling y'all, there's paperwork to prove it. I'm gonna put it up on the screen. MK Ultra project. Most of the files allegedly, supposedly have been destroyed, and there's just a few remaining that do prove its existence. And Montreal, McGill University was one of the universities that was doing this stuff, and they would put female insane asylum patients to sleep for like 30 days, induced like coma kind of. And when they woke up, they wouldn't be able to walk. They would have forgotten how to speak. One lady stayed under for like months, and her daughter has written like a mainstream media like article about it, and it was a lot of women were treated that way. And so I don't necessarily think it's the farthest cry from possible to imagine Britney Spears might be being treated in ways that women specifically, were treated in insane asylums in the past. And in particular, whenever you learn the publicly known fact that Jamie Spears, Britney's conservator and father, his own mother had been institutionalized by his father. And so this was something that would have been familiar to him and in his life to just, lock her up. She don't want to do a dance move? Okay, well, drug her, make her, figure it out, do whatever you have to do. Oh, I'm the conservator and I'll sign for it.
I had to have Robin's approval before I spoke with Britney about a question Britney had.
She's worked too. It was her birthday. Is she going to be okay working on her birthday?
Sure. What do you want her to like?
I don't know. I think that she rehearsed on her birthday.
He's gonna rehearse.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
What kind of things would she do? What would she control?
Little things. Like Britney would say, "Hey, is there any way we could have sushi for dinner?" And I would hear Robin say, "You had sushi yesterday. It's too expensive. You don't need it again." Maybe there's a lot more behind that, but I'm only seeing the outside. But if she pushed back a little bit, they pushed harder, and then the yelling got louder. Then Jamie would come up and say, "No, you're not having this." And then it would escalate to not having the boys.
But Jamie, you need to give us the days
that she has the kids and needs to be home. I'll take care of the kids, and she'll just come in wherever, because I'm going to be the one to go stay with the kids.
Can we just say hi to Mom?
So now, you know, again, I'm not saying that's what happened either, but it's easier for me to kind of believe that one than like, you know, people are being cloned. But y'all, learning what I've learned about clones, it's kind of like, I'm not going to get too mad at the conspiracy theorists for thinking it. I think I could see from the last 4 or 5 episodes of this series how they might have arrived at that conclusion or belief. So that brings me back around to Kanye West. Now, it's like widely, commonly known that Kanye West has contributed to problems for Hollywood and to certain parts of it and certain people, etc., etc. I certainly don't agree with everything the man says. I agree with not much of what he says, probably. But anyway, there's these clone theories, okay? So the theories that he got replaced in 2016, right whenever he was starting to be used as like a political operative, basically. It kind of stayed out of politics. No, he didn't. 2005, he said George Bush does not care about black people. He was political the whole time.
George Bush doesn't care about black people. Please call. In the past few days.
So that's, I guess, probably one of the things. Like, why did he switch so much? We did learn in episode 1 and 3 that the personalities of the clones can often be very different. So maybe it's just trying for new Kanye clones each time. Anyway, shout out to Kanye West for exposing Harvey, what's his name, and all that. Because he did talk about that, right? Like, they threaten him with it still. We'll get you. It's back to zombie land. What is a zombie?
Let me read this Harvey text. This is how he was threatened. This is a trainer. But come to find out, he was actually Canadian intelligence, but this is my trainer. So this shows you the kind of handlers that are around the superstars of California, right? So it says, I'm going to help you one of a couple ways. First, you and I sit down and have a loving and open conversation, but you don't use cuss words. And everything that is discussed is based in fact, and not some crazy stuff that dumb friend of yours told you or you saw in a tweet. Second option, I have you institutionalized again, where they medicate the crap out of you and you go back to zombie land forever. Play date with the kids just won't be the same.
Anyway, that brings us, we're in politics land. How can we get through this video without talking about that Joe Biden is a clone conspiracy theories? And y'all, clone maybe, robot, I would believe. I will never forget how many Joe Biden is not Joe Biden, he's wearing a mask conspiracy theories there were going on in the presidential election.
People are now claiming that Joe Biden has a different skin color on his neck.
You have to
He doesn't even talk the same way. Look at the neck.
And the market is that if you have all of the tax breaks, essentially all the tax breaks, all
is that shadow?
of the benefits
I don't
flowing
know.
to the top 1/10
It's
of
not
1%.
shadow. Shadow doesn't move.
Really
The back
concentration
even
of wealth,
moving?
including going back to the Great Depression.
That is.
Ever.
That looks like.
And so.
Okay. What is that? That's not. That doesn't give me AI vibes because it's moving, Tom.
I think it would have helped to put those concerns at bay if he would have actually kept showing up and appearing in public after he ran for president. I mean, have we seen the man again? He comes out of his like Dracula castle like 2 times since the election. Like, has anyone seen the man? Has anyone heard from Joe Biden? And then I'm scrolling the other day and I get this clone conspiracy. Poor thing. I think it's elder abuse, them parading him out like this. Anyway, so then this isn't like, well, I guess it is a celebrity because it's Taylor Swift, but there's also the Taylor Swift as a clone conspiracy theory, and not only just any clone, but a clone of this lady right here, Zena Delve, whatever her name. She's the daughter of the founder of the Satan Church, and I will say the resemblance is striking. However, look how much Jay-Z and Rymir Satterthwaite look alike. I'm not gonna say that's a clone. You know what I mean? Like, I know for sure, like, people who look so much like their grandpa, they could be a clone. So just because somebody looks alike to somebody doesn't mean anything. And especially, like, I don't know if, like, these people are even related. Like, who even knows? You know, who even knows? But 1989 is probably when they were kicking off the first human clone experiments, if you just trace the timeline back. So again, I mean, I could see why the people are saying that or whatever. And then there's all these conspiracy theories. I'm gonna let the conspiracy theory videos tell y'all. But it's like, you know, the hand symbols that Taylor Swift uses, or like she gets so upset whenever anybody mentions God, and it's because she's a clone of the Satanist daughter or whatever.
One of the oldest conspiracy theories surrounding Taylor is that she is the clone of Zena LaVey, the daughter of Anton LaVey, founder of the Church of Satan. This theory hinges on the striking resemblance between Taylor and Zena in her younger years. Believers suggest that the Illuminati cloned Zena to create Taylor, aiming to use her influence to subtly promote satanic imagery through pop music. This theory has gained traction online. Numerous numerous side-by-side photo comparisons fueling the speculation.
When Zena LeVay was younger, they did look similar, and Zena LeVay was into music as well. I think they're both alive right now, but I think that doesn't matter if they're clones.
Taylor's well-known affinity for the number 13 has sparked theories that it holds deeper occult significance. However, some conspiracy enthusiasts argue that the number is associated with the Illuminati or other secret societies.
There's all kinds of theories, all right? And then I do want to just leave this video out with this final guy right here. What's his name? Baby Boo? Kid Boo. Kid Boo, not Baby Boo. Okay, Kid Boo. And he claims he's a clone, okay? And please, I mean, what a way to go viral, you know? Okay, whatever. But then again, like if somebody was a clone and they were like, I'm a clone, like what are they gonna do? What are they gonna tell you to make you believe it? You know, I'm okay, yeah, sure you are. Like anybody else say anything for a click and a clout.
Where did Canada come from? That's where I was cloned at. I saw something that said you was from Canada. I saw something that said you was from South Florida, and I heard you was born in Jersey. Where are you from?
I was born in Jersey.
Okay.
And raised in South Florida.
There it is. Where did Canada come from?
That's where I was cloned at. Story for another day.
Let's talk about the cloning.
Oh, you want to?
I mean, it's not every day somebody says, yo, I'm a clone.
But how old is Kid Boo? You know, there was those three clone babies that were born allegedly, supposedly in 2002 and 2003, if you didn't check out my videos earlier in the series. But then I found it particularly compelling and interesting that he did cite to CloneAid, which is the company we talked about in the last video, where there was a cult attached to it and incubating babies, and they were being born, and they were probably maybe working with the people from the episode before that, the scientists from Greece and Italy and Israel and all that. So this guy said he was one of the ones that was made by CloneAid. One of them 23 pregnancies was him. He's, I guess, you know.
My first gen was born in Jersey. However, I was cloned by CloneAid in Canada. My model number is 0112568, if anyone wants to see the registration in CloneAid.
Okay, so then you ended up in South Florida.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting because it does tie back into that whole cult thing from earlier. But that'll pretty much put the bookend on the celebrity clone conspiracy theories. And we have more to go in this series. So next we're going to talk about how the member Martha Stewart, she enters the chat with some financial investments. Love you, Mina K. Bye. Humans. In the early 2000s, America's favorite homemaker became the center of headlines, speculation, and ultimately a federal investigation into supposedly insider trading. The investigation that would eventually ensue, it concerned Martha Stewart's stock trading. So Martha was accused of insider trading after she sold 4,000 shares in one day. And it wasn't just any day, no, it was the day before that firm's stock plummeted. Although the charges of security fraud were eventually thrown out, Martha did get convicted of a few things, including she was found guilty on 4 counts of obstruction of justice and lying to investigators. She was sentenced to 5 months in prison and 5 months of house arrest, and then she was on probation for 2 years. So she didn't even serve like a half a year in prison. You might remember this scandal. I mean, it was really all over the headlines. Possibly maybe you remember the following memes of her and Snoop Dogg saying only one of the people in this picture is a felon or something. I don't know, maybe we can find some of those. Anyway, you might remember that. But did you know Martha Stewart was actually a stockbroker herself on the board of directors of the New York Stock Exchange? Or did you also know that at the very center of this scandal, the company that the stocks were owned in, that company itself, did you know they had some very public ties and business ties to human cloning? And this is all during like this same, like what we've been talking about in this series, the clone scare boom of the early 2000s.
3 scientists working almost full-time in a lab here in the United States with the major goal for us to produce a human embryo.
So let's talk about the insider trading scandal itself. So this event would ultimately, I think, define Martha Stewart's career, but certainly at the time it did jeopardize it. I mean, there were even seemingly like academic articles written in the years since this scandal about studying how did Martha Stewart survive this? Because at the time everybody thought she was done. Like, you know, she was going to lose her media empire. She went right back to skipping. She She never stopped skipping. She skipped right through for 5 months and then kept skipping. The jail she went to, the prison she went to, was supposedly called Camp Cupcake. But then in the research for this video, we found another article written that it wasn't actually a Camp Cupcake. And this lady was saying she was like 60 years old. She went to prison. She like chose to go over there. She was like, oh, Martha Stewart went there. How bad could it be? And then she wrote this whole article giving the tea and the drama about stuff that went on with Martha when Martha was there. Martha wanted to get the kitchen duty. She couldn't work in the kitchen. She requested kitchen duty and they wouldn't let her work in there. Anyway, I don't know if that was a fluff piece. I don't know if that was Martha Stewart's altar. I don't know who that was. But anyway, yeah, it was called Camp Cupcake. But before she was in prison, right, the scandal ensued.
I don't know what she's doing there when OJ is still walking around.
So it had to do with this biopharmaceutical company that Martha Stewart had invested money in. So on December 26th, the day after Christmas, 2001, Martha sells about 4,000 shares of stock in this company. But she doesn't get on there and do it herself, the transaction herself. She did this transaction through her stockbroker.
In December of 2001, she abruptly sold nearly 4,000 shares of Imclone, worth $227,000, just a day before bad news broke about the company's cancer drug. That trade saved her at least $46,000 in losses.
The very next day, December 27th, 2001, the Food and Drug Administration, that's the FDA in the United States, refused to allow this medication called Erbitux to move forward in its FDA approval process. So the FDA kind of like gives the thumbs down to this drug for the time being called Erbitux. Well, Erbitux was being developed by this company that Martha Stewart owned 4,000 shares in. So the FDA gives the thumb down to this medicine, Erbitux, and says, you know, you have to go and redevelop it or do some more things or whatever. I mean, it was very technical and scientific, the reasons why the FDA refused to approve this Erbitux thing. For the purposes of the scandal, the insider trading scandal, the FDA kind of gave the thumbs down to this Erbitux for the time being, and the company lost money because of it. But the day before that happened, a bunch of people inside the company or who had connections to the company sold or dumped off a bunch of their shares. Almost like they already knew the FDA was gonna not approve of the Erbitux. Well, come to find out, like I said, Martha Stewart had done 4,000 of those trades and she wasn't alone. The same thing had occurred with several other Imclone investors, including the company's lawyer, their counsel, John Landis. So their lawyer, the top lawyer at the company, sold $2.5 million worth of the company's stock on December 6th, so earlier that month. Another guy, Ronald Martell, the company's vice president of marketing, who sold $2.1 million on December 11th, so that same month. And then 4 other company executives who also did that. They cashed in their shares between December 12th and December 21st. And again, the incident where the FDA gives the thumbs down to the drug was on the 27th. So this was too much of a coincidence for the SEC and them to just ignore. They said, no. The Fed started investigating this company or those sales or whatever, the stock exchanges. So the investigation ended up revealing that Martha was actually close friends with the CEO of this company. They also shared the same stockbroker who made the trades happen. This guy was a man by the name of Peter Bacanovich. Now, Martha would, I don't know, kind of throw this Peter guy under the bus, in my opinion, in her defense, because she would claim that all she did was approve of this deal. You know, Peter called her, the broker called her, hey, I'm gonna da-da-da-da-da-da. She kind of said she didn't know that it was because a drug was getting thumbs down, whatever. I don't know what she did know and didn't know, because to me, it doesn't matter, because Martha Stewart wasn't just some housewife making biscuits. No. She was on the board of directors of the New York Stock Exchange. Was she on the board of directors? Did I hallucinate that?
No.
We need to verify that.
And put it up on the screen, but yeah.
And all these other guys had so much money, like 2.5 million worth, 2.1 million worth. Martha's was like worth about 230,000. That was how much her stock was worth. So how they prosecuted it was basically they calculated like what amount she was able to gain from her knowledge of inside, and they like total gains, like I don't know, something, total losses, total something. It was only like $45,000. She had like unjustly enriched herself about $45,000, which is bad and wrong. So one thing leads to the next, and ultimately Martha Stewart is charged, prosecuted, convicted, and served at least 5 months of time in prison at Camp Cupcake. And there's a couple things too about this that I found to be interesting. The public liked Martha Stewart at the time. they liked her. You know, she was famous. She had a magazine. She had started putting other people on Martha's Favorite Things, and she had a show. And it's easy to kind of forget now how the television companies, the channels and stuff, used to be able to really force feed us stuff. They used to be able to put something on for so long that you just get used to it. Or so many times in a row where it's like there really was only a few channels, you know, that you could put on while you're cooking your food. Oh, look, there's like a lady cooking food, like Julia Childs type thing. But like, I don't know, I'd rather listen to Paula Deen. But I mean, I feel kind of like Martha Stewart walked so Paula Deen could run, you know, like she wasn't my cup of tea, ginger flavored or otherwise, but she was ubiquitous, and it's the heater. That's a branch. Or some snow. A big old chunk of something just fell on my roof. It might be Rudolph. Anyway, so what was I saying? Yes, so everybody kind of liked Martha. And then other details started coming out, like she didn't make the trade. Yeah, she's a stockbroker, but she didn't make the trade.
The government says Stewart, being a former stockbroker, should have known that the tip was improper. Yet she proceeded to sell all her shares. But Stewart claims she sold because of a pre-existing agreement with her broker to sell if the stock dipped below a set price.
So that we're doing all this for $45,000. It's going to cost more than that just for jury selection. Like, what do you mean 45? What about these guys? No, they I think did all get prosecuted themselves as well. But a lot of people were kind of saying they're just picking on Martha Stewart. She was well liked. And I think she had a good media strategy. She made some funny responses in the media, interesting responses. That's just taking the temperature of what was going on at the time. The actual charges brought against her ended up being insider trading and some other stuff, obstruction and lying to federal officers and stuff like that. But the prosecutor in the case, we'll get to who that is in a moment, but the prosecutor in the case really wanted to go for like insider trading, market manipulation. Like, she somehow presumably would have been trying to manipulate the market with her little $200,000 trade. I mean, this is really nothing on the stock exchange. So it was kind of like overcharging the people. That was the sentiment of the public. Like, all right, obstruction maybe, lying maybe, but market manipulation inside, that's supposed to be for like if Elon Musk takes all his money out of Tesla tomorrow. Like, that would like rock the world economy if Elon Musk took all his money. I mean, is there even that much money anywhere? Do we know? You know, so it's kind of like that's market manipulation. And so the people were just not having it. They're like, what do you mean? The prosecutor, and then ultimately she didn't get convicted of that. She did not get convicted of that. What she got convicted of was obstruction of justice and insider trading. And I just couldn't help but notice the pattern to how similar that was to the Diddy case, where they went for RICO, but all they were able to really get was consensual adult prostitution across state lines. They weren't even able to show like coercion to the jury to convince the jury. And a lot of legal scholars in the aftermath of the Diddy trial have said in their analysis that was a problem. One of the reasons why Diddy only got 4 years, which doesn't seem like a lot for what he was accused of doing by all these people, like the witnesses and the affidavits and the lawsuits, and the reason they only got 4 years when he was looking at life was, some analysts have speculated, because Maureen Comey, the prosecutor on the case, overcharged with RICO. That's supposed to be for, you know, gang members and like people, the mafia bosses, like the tops of criminal rings. And I thought the feds had a strong case, but hindsight is 2020. And people are saying, yeah, the reason that they did that is because the more serious charges he didn't get convicted on, and he never should have been charged on those. What RICO isn't for that. The same thing happened in the Martha Stewart case. They charged her with this big, like, supposed to be applying to like mob bosses, supposed to be applying to Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, moving tons of money around that really wrecks the market. And her little drop in the bucket thing, no. So for that reason, she got 5 months. They didn't prove the most serious thing. Well, you'll never guess who the prosecutor was. We're gonna have to put up a family tree here with the maybe I'll make some with the PNGs. You'll never guess who the prosecutor was all the way back in 3, Martha Stewart insider trading case, who wanted to charge her with market manipulation and all that. It was this guy right here, James Comey.
Martha Stewart is being prosecuted not because of who she is, but because of what she did.
So, yes, James Comey is the father of Maureen Comey. You mean to tell me James Comey is the prosecutor for the Martha Stewart case where she got 5 months, and his daughter Maureen Comey was the lead prosecutor for Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, and Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs? Got it. Okay, I see what we're working with here. I got it. That was the insider trading scandal. As I said, she went to Camp Cupcake and she got out. Okay, so that's the story everybody knows, or maybe you didn't know. I didn't know that story. But what I had remembered was she did something about insider trading. She's friends with Snoop Dogg somehow. And she's out of jail and she's still on like TV and nobody really seems to have skipped a beat. Well, there's something about this whole thing I don't think anybody ever really focused on. And that's why it's in this series. This is going to be the bookend for this series. Thank you to everybody for watching it. We'll get to a goodbye later. But right now, we need to talk about how this company that Martha Stewart got in trouble for supposedly insider trading, but she got acquitted on that and all that, everything we just talked about. Guess what the name of the company is? I'm Clone Systems. I'm Clone Systems. This is a good series. This is art. Now, you might be wondering, what are you talking about? Is it a cloning company? I mean, kinda. Actually, yes. And I will give you the public reasons now upon which I base that opinion, and you can come to your own conclusion at the end. Okay, so first, let's just start with I'm Clone Systems, LLC. Okay, here's from the Wikipedia page. It's a biopharmaceutical company dedicated to developing biologic medicines in the area of oncology. Okay, that's a lot of big words, ain't it? That's some big ones. So it makes medicine for cancer. It was founded in 1984 and had its corporate headquarters in Bridgewater, New Jersey, just right down the street from me. But now it has its research headquarters in New York City. On October 6, 2008, it accepted a $6.5 billion acquisition. Now, we're getting into the webbing here, if you saw the Ozempic video, because the company that bought I'm Clone in 2008 is a huge pharmaceutical company behind the GLP-1 craze of the right now, the Wegovy's and these medicines. Eli Lilly. Eli Lilly and Company bought I'm Clone in 2008, the same year Britney was put into a conservatorship, and that was about the time she started her tour. Anyway, so this huge company buys the little company I'm Clone. Now, remember that drug Erbitex? They did end up putting that out. Like, that did ultimately end up making its way through the approval rounds and everything like that. And I do have to wonder how much Eli Lilly and this $6 billion cash infusion did have to do with that, if anything. But yeah, they kind of like I'm Clone kind of like signed on, like basically like when a little artist gets signed to a big label. It was like kind of like a thing. Like, they couldn't just have I'm Clone out here spinning wild and free. But I'm Clone is the company that Martha Stewart had invested in. That's this whole insider trading thing. So it's not called I'm Clone anymore. It just kind of got absorbed into the Eli Lilly company. But I'm like, what is I'm Clone? I just start looking that up, like, what do they do? And oh my God, it glitched me to the Raelian logo. So I start looking up I'm Clone, okay? A biopharmaceutical company known for developing cancer drugs, notably Erbitux, but it became famous for the Martha Stewart trading scandal or whatever. It's acquired by Eli Lilly in 2008. After the acquisition, they lost its separate identity. Okay, again, what is this? What is? Then I'm like, okay, what's Erbitux? Because that's their claim to fame. What is it? It is a targeted therapy monoclonal antibody. They do, and I put a screenshot. You can just read it. Okay, this is just big words. Erbitux is a targeted therapy, a monoclonal antibody used to treat certain metastatic colorectal and head or neck cancers by blocking the epidermal growth factor receptor on cancer cells. Okay, couldn't you do this with tea tree oil? I need a study on that. That's a lot of big words for a certain type of medicine that treats head and neck and colon rectum cancer. Okay, colon cancer, head cancer, neck cancer. So they do this because it's like something to do with the skin. But what is a monoclonal antibody? You know, what is a monoclonal antibody? Because what is I'm Clone? The company's name is called I'm Clone. Okay, so we're looking into Erbitux right now. What is Erbitux? It's this type of drug. What is that? They are lab-made proteins that mimic the immune system's antibodies. Okay, lab-made. So, okay, all right. We could stop there. Lab-made, it's synthetic, right? But that's not what it says. It says lab-made. Lab-made proteins that mimic the immune system's antibodies, designed to target specific substances, antigens like those on cancer cells. What is a lab-made protein? They block viruses from entering cells like COVID-19. The craziest thing to me is, like, you have to, how far down, even on the AI thing, you have to scroll to get to this. It's the very bottom, even after potential side effects. types of MABS: murine, chimeric, humanized, or human, based on their origin from mice, mixtures, or human or fully human, okay? So these lab-made, cloned proteins can come from mice, or they can come from humans, or they can come from a mice-human hybrid, mouse and human, maybe they got a mouse-human hybrid they get in the cells from at this point, from what we learned in the series. But monoclonal antibodies are proteins made in a lab that mimic the natural antibodies produced by your immune system. But they're made in a lab by starting with a real antibody, a real protein from either a mouse or a human, and then they just clone that. So yes, it is correct to say that they do make them in a lab, but it's as correct as to say they make children in a lab who are IVF conceived. It's like there's still like they're cloning, and then I'm like, wait, they're using the mouse proteins in the people in the cancer drugs? Like, you're just taking your Erbitex and you're taking mouse protein clone? That's weird to me. That's weird to me, in my opinion. But anyway, okay, so this is the company that Martha Stewart was invested in. So I'm like, all right, well, that's not human cloning. You know, that's cellular cloning. So I'm like, I still want to look more into this I'm a clone. Like, what do you freaking mean I'm a clone? Well, then we did find some more information. So this article came out in, what is this? The Los Angeles Times in 2001. This came out 1 month before the whole trading scandal, action that had happened. Martha made her trade December, or, her stockbroker did or whatever, December 2001. Well, 1 month before that, not even, November 29th, 2001, the Los Angeles Times puts this article out called Human Cloning Firm Received Federal Aid. The Massachusetts company, condemned by the Bush administration for its efforts to clone a human embryo. So the Bush administration, George H.W. Bush, he had previously condemned specifically this. We included this earlier in the series. Specifically, he admonished this company. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not talking about ImClone. But this is the company ImClone's about to get into a business relationship with. So it's called Advanced Cell. Bush administration had specifically condemned this company for trying to clone a human embryo. All right, this is one of the companies that was doing it that year. They also received a federal grant in October 2001 to conduct biotechnology research. So clearly we're not going to get into this whole article, but the article is very revealing. If you will recall from earlier in the series, one of the big issues in the controversy of human cloning at all is that the people did not want federal or state or tax funds at all going to anything doing with human cloning, especially if it wasn't going to be outlawed. Everybody was trying to get it outlawed, or a few people were. They were not successful in making cloning humans illegal. So the presidents did sign, different orders and things, and Congress passed certain things or whatever, banning it from being funded by the government. So this article is kind of saying, hello, this is the big debate right now. Look, here's a human cloning company. George Bush named it himself as somebody that shouldn't be trying to do that. And here they are getting money. This company called Advanced Cell Technology had human cloning experiments that set off a national controversy this very week. And it was renewing demands that Congress ban cloning of all human cells. In 2001, this was the same year all that other stuff was going on. These people this is the same year that the Raelians said they actually did clone a human. This is the same year that those 3 scientists, from none of whom are from America or the United States, were out here doing a national press tour saying that the clone will be persecuted if we say who the clone is, but we've done it already. The guys are hiding out in labs this very same year. And now this company gets this $1.8 million grant from the government. The same year as 9/11 too. Yep. They said that there was a big push against human cloning, but a lot of the reason that law didn't get passed, according to the reporting we were reading and looking at the other day for the research for this video, according to them, a lot of the reason that the law for anti-cloning didn't get passed was because there was so much fallout from the horrific events of September 11, 2001, which was the same just a few months before this article came out. The biotechnology startup reignited a furor over cloning this week when an online science journal published an account of the company's experiment. Yeah, this is when it all hit the fan. The article is in eBiomed, the Journal of Regenerative Medicine. Oh my God, please put a thumbnail for that anti-aging man. I don't even remember his stupid name. The company said they only created a few clones that all died and none consisted of more than 6 cells. President Bush condemned the experiment and he vowed to push for a 6-month ban on human cloning while lawmakers consider legislation. The House passed legislation banning human cloning in July 2001, but it moved to the back burner after the September 11th events. As a privately held company, Advanced Cell has disclosed little about its finances, so it could be a private company that the government can give a grant to, but they don't have to give the public any information of what they're doing. And this is often how the government and the 3-letter agencies get around their requirement to be transparent with we the people. And they'll call it defense contracting or whatever because they're not planning to use it on us. They're planning to use it to make sure people don't use it on whatever the case may be, but they just come up with it. I mean, they say anything. Within the last 6 months, this company that was in the middle of all this controversy sold a New York biotechnology company about 7% stake in Advanced Cell. And that was for $1 million. So $1 million for 7%. And which company was it that bought that 7% from Advanced Cell Technology, who was doing human cloning experiments where they all died? It was Clone Systems. Now, this wasn't some far distant past or future removed. It's the same year. In the last 6 months, so in the middle of 2001, Advanced Cell went into a deal of sorts with Clone Systems. Clone became a part owner of the human cloning company. Do you see? We can show the org chart here. Now, Clone wasn't a total owner of it. It was only 7%. And I don't know where it stands today, but this is all during the time of this lawsuit where Martha Stewart is involved. And then, it kind of starts making me wonder, well, maybe this human cloning stuff, she was trying to start investing in it in case it was going to be legal. Not her. Maybe her stockbroker. Maybe they were cloning human cells and they got Eli Lilly in there to do it better or worse or handle them or who knows. The deal with Clone Systems, which this was in 2001, which includes a research collaboration, gives Advanced Cell an estimated market value of $14.3 million. So Advanced Cell is doing cancer research, but also human cloning experiments, according to the Los Angeles Times. In the same year all this other cloning stuff is going on, they're saying they cloned the first human embryos. Martha Stewart ends up taking the fall, and you look up Clone and all you really find is stuff about Martha Stewart. Look how hard I had to look to even figure out that they're cloning mice and human cells. There apparently isn't a total ban on human cell cloning. If they're doing it for put it in the medicine you go and pick up from the CVS later. What's worse, taking the human clone cell medicine or taking the mouse clone cell medicine? So then, of course, coming as a surprise to absolutely no one, when you look up Clone is now owned by Eli Lilly, and Clone kind of doesn't exist anymore, so you look up who owns Eli Lilly. A mix of major institutional investors like Vanguard, BlackRock, PNC, and retail investors. Okay, cool, great. Okay, so we don't know if Advanced Cell Technology is still 7% owned by Eli Lilly or whatever. We don't know. Let's go see who owns Advanced Cell today. Biotechne Corporation. Okay, who owns Biotechne Corporation? Major institutional investors, including Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street, holding significant stakes. The snake just eats itself, doesn't it? Well, that will pretty much do it for the series on cloning for now, series part 1 at least. But we're going to be moving on to a very similar subject. We're going to be moving right directly into the next subject here, because the next series has to do with, I'll just say it, organ trafficking, and that's kind of reductive because it was a natural follow from this series here. A lot of questions start getting asked. Why? Why do you want to clone a human? Why would anyone want to? Some reasons are within our grasp. A loved one and you miss them. I don't know, so you had a kid and they died. I don't know. I wouldn't do any of these things, by the way. But these are reasons within your grasp, But then there's other really more deranged, deplorable, despicable, unimaginable reasons that these people might be wanting to clone humans. And we're going to get into that in the next series. If you enjoyed this one, we will be putting out, or maybe we already did, a one full long whole video of this. Anyway, that's all I really had for this one. If you enjoyed it, make sure you make sure you didn't get unsubscribed. I am going to obviously be doing more series, so click the notification bell so you don't miss any of that. Love you, mean it. Okay, bye.
I could make a sperm out of your skin cells and an egg and fertilize that.
So you can clone me?
I could clone you. I won't do that because it's illegal, but biologically we could do that.
My gosh.
I'm going to get all sorts of phone calls.
You
now.
are. There we go. I'm going to get the emails too.
Hey, can you clone me?
Yeah.
No, but what's important is I can make mini organs from you and test drugs. And what we're doing in the lab is we have...
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. Personalized medicine.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when you come to my lab, and you have to promise you're going to come, I'll show you. We grow these mini brains in the lab.